penetration for terrestrial broadcasting, so it was easier for them. There are other important aspects, is that Africa and Arab countries are, let's say, a little bit late in the process of, of digital switchover. So they are able to adopt directly the DVB-T2 with MPEG-4 at least, and then it allows even more efficient spectrum use. So all these conditions made them say, we can, we will not use the 800 for the DTT because we have other primary services, but we can use the 700 megahertz for mobile services, and still in the remaining part, 470 until 694 megahertz to use the DTT. So also the harmonization, the ITU is, charged by the administration to work on the harmonization of all the radio communication services, at least within the 3 different regions. So, and you all know the benefits of the harmonization. As you can see here, it can decrease the terminal costs by 50%, reduces the complexity of devices, and also allows easier international roaming and interoperability. So these are all advantages of the harmonization that you well know. The feasibility in 700 megahertz, again, these countries said we can do it, have the mobile services in the 700 megahertz because of, again, the DVB-T2, and also because of, let's say, the low penetration of digital terrestrial television in these countries. The problem is the opposite let's say, in Europe. So they began very early, and they adopted the DVB-T, sorry. So it has less efficiency than DVB-T2. And also there is a very high penetration for terrestrial television, and most of the networks, let's say DTT networks, were planned on MFN, which means multiple frequency networks, while we know the single frequency networks, the SFNs, can allow, to have much more layers or multiplexes in the same frequency bands. So here some statistics that we tried to have from the European countries. You can see the listing of the countries that answered a questionnaire that was done by the ITU. So you can see the percentage of the use for countries that use both DVB-T and DVB-T2. You see the higher in Europe is DVB-T, 57% of use of DVB-T, and also still some administrations, but still did not, let's say, officially decided if it will be DVB-T or DVB-T2, but I think that it's very obvious that it will be DVB-T2 now. So the allocation date of the 800 you can see on this chart here. So you can see that already done in most of countries. So until today you can see a little bit more than 15%, and other countries that you will decide from now until the end of 2015, and some others that are waiting for the European Union decision. There is also some statistics and some percentage you can see here for the planned services in the 700 megahertz. So you can see, let's say, the decision, or in most of cases, the intention of allocating the 700, so not yet planned, it's 50%. So these countries are mostly waiting for the WRC 15 to decide. And you can also see for mobile public safety, the 3%, and this is also 1.3 of the agenda item of WRC, which is talking also about PPDR and other devices. And you can see also there will be no DTT, only 3%. So for European, concerning the 700, it's not really clear, and I think that everybody is waiting for the decisions of the WRC 15, or maybe a little before. So the Sub-Saharan Africa, there was a summit that decided to handle this process for all the African countries. As you know, the frequencies have no borders, so it's better to planify all together than to do it alone and then to be obliged to do it bilaterally. So the African Telecommunication Union decided to do the frequency planning for all the Africans in the frequency band 470 until to 694 megahertz. And they decided to begin with 4 layers for multiplexes, let's say, in this band, and to leave the 700 and 800 megahertz for the moment. So independently, if they decide to allocate it to the mobile or not. So there were some recommendations, let's say general recommendations from the African Telecommunication Union is to adopt for all the Africans the DVB-T2 and MPEG-4. And as I said already, 4 layers. And also they recommend to respect the end of the transition, let's say the analog switch off, which is 17 June of 2015. So some statistics also concerning Africa. So these were the replanning done by the assistance of the BR, the Radio Communication Bureau from the ITU. And you can see at the end of the exercise the results of satisfied requirements. That was 37%. So it means that all these administration, I mean, almost all of them have 4 layers in the lower band. You can also see the last chart at the right side, identified digital dividend. So you can see here the difference between European and Africans. 50% of these 47 countries decide for 694 until to 862 to be allocated to the mobile. So I'm sorry to repeat again, Africans and 47. So it just, I mean, it shows that it is a region with a big number of countries and that they can really influence, have a big influence in the conference. So not yet determined is 25%. The first digital dividends only 15%, and for the second one in the 700, 10%, but 50% for both.